All right, welcome back. So, we've spent a lot of time looking at how things break, right? Now it's time for the fun part, how to build systems so they don't. Today, we are going to dive deep into the strategies that actually work, the ones that stop those catastrophic failures and build real, honest-to-goodness resilience. Now, just so we're all on the same page, this is part 4 of a big 6-part series from Virtualization Options LLC. The whole thing is called Major Network and System Failures, Lessons from the Last Decade. And for this part, we're laser-focused on the solutions, the stuff that research says actually works. I love this quote because it just nails the mindset we need. Seriously, we have to stop thinking we can prevent every single failure. It's just not going to happen. The real goal is to build systems that can take a punch and keep on going. It's not about being perfect, it's all about being prepared. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to break it down into 5 key areas. We'll kick things off with the right mindset, then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of architecture, operational discipline, and security. And to wrap it all up, we'll take a peek into the future with predictive maintenance. All right, first things first, the mindset. You have to accept one simple, unavoidable truth. Complex systems, well, they fail, and usually in ways you'd never expect. So the game isn't about stopping failure altogether, it's about containing it. Think of it like building fire doors in a building. You want to limit the blast radius, right? Make sure a small fire doesn't take down the whole skyscraper. And then you recover fast. And that leads to a choice, really. Every single company faces this. You can either sit back and just absorb the hit when something goes wrong, and we're talking huge financial losses, not to mention the damage to your reputation, or you can invest up front in prevention. And let me tell you, the research is crystal clear on this. The cost of doing nothing is always going to be way, way higher. Okay, let's get tactical. How do we build systems that don't have that one single fatal weakness, that Achilles heel? This is all about designing your infrastructure with the assumption that, yeah, things are gonna break. And the absolute cornerstone of this whole idea is decentralization. It's the classic, don't put all your eggs in one basket scenario, but for tech. You spread your stuff out. That way, if one location has a problem, a power grid fails, a hurricane hits, it doesn't take your entire service offline. It's a game changer. So this whole strategy really stands on 3 pillars. First, there's geographic distribution, spreading your data centers across the country or even the world. Then there's edge computing, which is all about moving processing closer to your users. And finally, service autonomy. This one's huge. It means you design your services so they can operate on their own. That way, if one part fails, it doesn't create a domino effect and take everything else down with it. And speaking of those single points of failure, let's talk about power. Because what's a bigger single point of failure than the plug in the wall? Real resilience here isn't just having a backup generator tucked away in a closet. No, it's about layers. It's like building a fortress. You start with power from 2 different utility companies. Then you add UPS systems for that instant split-second switchover. Then you have your big generators for when the outage lasts for hours. And the ultimate level? Geographic distribution, so you're not even reliant on a single power grid. That's how you stay online. Okay, so you can have the most brilliant architecture in the world, but you know what can still bring it all crashing down? Us, people. Human error is a huge factor, and that's where operational discipline comes into play. This is all about the human side of things, the processes we follow to stop a tiny mistake from turning into a full-blown catastrophe. It's kind of wild how many massive outages boil down to a simple typo, a tiny configuration error. This 6-step process you see here, this is the cure for that. It's a safety net. Before any change goes live, it has to be proposed, automatically tested, reviewed by another human, and then rolled out slowly in stages. And the best part? If anything looks off, you can just hit the undo button and roll it right back. It's that classic idea of slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that same discipline, it applies to your hardware and software too. You can't just drive your car until the engine explodes, right? You get oil changes. It's the same idea here. You have to plan for growth, constantly keep an eye on the health of everything, schedule your maintenance, and have a solid plan to swap things out when they fail. The key is to think of your gear not as something permanent, but as something that has a lifespan. All right, let's switch gears and talk about security. Because the way we think about security has totally changed. It used to be all about building a giant wall around your network to keep the bad guys out. But now, it's about building a system that can actually survive a breach and keep the damage to a minimum. It's a huge shift. Resilience means security has to be part of the DNA of the system from day one. Yeah, that old castle and moat idea, it's pretty much dead. The problem was, once an attacker got over the wall, they had the keys to the kingdom. They could just wander around inside, causing chaos. The new model is called Zero Trust, and it is built on a radical idea. Assume you've already been hacked. Seriously. The motto is trust no one, verify everything, every single time. This makes it incredibly hard for an attacker to move around once they're inside. And the way you do this is with something called defense in depth. The best way to think about it is like an onion. It's just layers upon layers of security. You've got firewalls, intrusion detection, endpoint protection, the whole shebang. So an attacker doesn't just have to beat one lock. They have to get through like 6 or 7 different security systems. Breaking one layer just gets them to the next headache. It's exhausting for them, which is exactly the point. Okay, so we've covered the architecture, the processes, the security, but what about the future? For our last section, let's talk about the holy grail. How do we get so far ahead of failures that we can see them coming before they ever even affect a single user? And that's the question, isn't it? How do you find problems before they find you? Forever, we've been reactive. We wait for a red light to start flashing on a dashboard that tells us something is already broken. But what if you could know something was about to break? Well, the answer is in the data, all of it. By using AI and machine learning, we can sift through mountains of operational data and train these models to see the invisible. They can spot these super subtle patterns that are the early warning signs of a failure. Think about it. A hard drive doesn't just explode. Its performance gets a tiny bit worse day by day. A human would never notice. But in AI, it sees that trend clear as day. And look, this isn't some sci-fi movie stuff. This is happening right now. And the impact is huge. The research shows that companies putting this into practice are cutting their unplanned downtime by 25 to 50%. I mean, that is just a massive leap in how reliable you can be. Now, it's not magic, right? It's a whole process. You have to collect tons of data. You have to train the AI models on what past failures look like, and then you let it make predictions. But the secret sauce is that feedback loop. You're constantly feeding it new data, making the model smarter and more accurate over time. The result is you finally get to stop just reacting to problems and you start predicting them. So, at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one question. This really gets to the core of everything we've talked about. Every single one of these strategies, from spreading out your servers to using AI, they all cost money. They all require investment. But the choice is actually pretty simple. Is your organization going to pay for prevention now? Or are you going to pay a much, much bigger price for failure later?